You are the problem generation. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. I'm here to tell you it isn't true. It's actually the exact opposite. As humans, we figure it out. As humans, every generation has figured out the problems of their era. And it is our greatest survival instinct. Our stress response of fight, flight, or freeze has a fourth F, and it is we figure it out. So how did I get to this perspective? My husband and I accidentally lived the evolution of Western civilization over 7 years. We had a dream, a goal, to live like our ancestors did. We wanted a simpler lifestyle, more connected to nature. And we were tired of hearing about the destruction of people and the planet. And as my career progressed from 60, 80, 100-hour work weeks, 20 nights a month in a hotel, I reached a breaking point. And we walked away from everything in 2007. Friends, family, successful businesses, and a beautiful acreage. And we moved to the middle of nowhere in British Columbia, a 5-hour drive to the nearest town. And the first thing that we did is we built the shell of an earth ship. So earth ships are primarily made of recycled and repurposed materials from the dump and the land. And we built this shell so that we had a safe haven, a place to come back to if we ever had needed a warm place to be. And it worked like a cave. We had dirt floors and tire walls. And then we started to live as our ancestors did, as hunter-gatherers. And we did that for close to 2 years. We have never felt more connected or in rhythm with nature, but also never been more connected to life and death. So we built traps, tools, and weapons. We started fire by rubbing sticks together. And it was a constant struggle and cycle of food. We had to find it, get it, dry it, get enough for winter, and on and on and on. So bears showed us their food sources, and we used their trails to get around. But of course, bears also are a significant risk. So one time that I remember really well was we were fishing for salmon, and a huge male grizzly came up behind us. We were trapped between him and a raging glacier river. Thankfully, he started to eat right behind us our stash of fish. So what we did is we kept fishing, and we would throw more fish into the pile. And eventually, thankfully, he got full. And he wandered away. So I know why our ancestors have such short lifespans. Because every hour was a problem and challenge that we had to solve, often for our life. Over time, we met neighbors, and we started to trade. We traded for seeds, and we started to farm. And we'd accidentally entered the agricultural era. Now, by neighbors, I mean about 20 people that were scattered around us within about a 5-hour hike from our house. And this was probably the most amazing experience of our 7 years. The coming together, the building of community from the most diverse and quirky people you could ever imagine. From criminals to hermits to hippies, to 2 Indigenous elders who spoke about 30 words of English between them, to a US-Vietnam War deserter still in hiding. And we shared everything, including milk from a cow. And they taught me how to make yogurt and cheese. We looked after each other with the skills that each of us had. And we have never in our life felt more cared for and safe. But the most shocking aspect of the agricultural era was the amount of resources required to feed 2 people and our time. We realized how much water was required to grow crops because we had to carry buckets and buckets of it uphill every day. We had to make fertile soil from moose poop and swamp mud. We had to defend the farm from insects and wildlife, and we were now at the mercy of nature. We worked hard every day for a production cycle once a year. It was feast or famine. Daily challenges to figure out. So eventually, we added energy with solar and wind. And now we'd entered the industrial era. So we actually built out the rest of the Earthship. We added infrastructure, comforts, and conveniences. And we tried to get as much as we could from the land, the dump, and our neighbors. So the chairs and furniture are from the dump. That flooring is from an abandoned building. The books are from neighbors, and the walls are made from everything we found on the land. We also added a greenhouse. We added water systems and pumps. And then we added the most amazing innovation of all time: a hot shower. So, of course, we couldn't buy everything we needed during this era, we couldn't get everything we needed from the dump. So we had to start buying things. So it meant we had to go to town, we had to have money. So that meant we're either going to have to dig into savings or take jobs. So we had to figure something else out. So we actually added satellite internet and communication, and we'd accidentally entered the information era. So we were now way more connected with friends, family, and those same neighbors than ever before. But the most amazing thing about this era was we had unlimited access to knowledge. And so we built out the most productive, efficient, year-round food ecosystem possible. But we didn't stop there. We actually entered the future era. We added greywater recycling, we added sensors, automation, and the Internet of Things. And we automated all of our survival needs: food, water, shelter, and all the waste management. And now automation freed us from any labor day to day to take care of our needs. So we had built a fully self-sufficient, sustainable, circular system. We now had minimal ongoing costs, minimal need for store in town. We were living with minimal carbon footprint. All our needs were taken care of. And we were free, completely free in time, to learn, grow, explore, and connect with nature. So, voila, we've lived 7 years, accidentally living the evolution of Western civilization. And we were living that final year far more futuristic than any of you ever have. And we actually had reached our original goals of a simpler life and more connected to nature, not in the past, but in the future. So, what does this have to do with you, the problem generation? Everything. Every generation has figured out the problems of their time. And there were 3 lessons that we learned from the land that relate to this. 1, we cannot go back. 2, every innovation has a side effect or an unforeseen consequence. And 3, innovation is our greatest survival instinct. So firstly, we cannot go back. Nor should we. It's a myth to believe that it was a simpler or easier time. It's actually just a whole different set of problems and challenges to face. Often, more life and death than our current Western society faces. It's also a myth to think that if we all go back to the land or back to the country, that we can save the planet. From our experience, we will use the planet's resources far quicker than if we start embracing new foods, new production cycles, new food ecosystems that we currently have and will innovate in the future. What we can do, though, is capture what was great in each of those eras. The incredible connection and in rhythm with nature and our food needs to be in our cities where we work, live, and play. That incredible coming together of diverse people into a community that took care of each other locally. All of our needs. We didn't need outside help. The unlimited access to factual knowledge, and of course automation that freed us from that day-to-day routine tasks of our survival. And so that brings me to our second lesson. Every innovation has a side effect or an unforeseen consequence. Every innovation since the dawn of time has been done for our survival and comfort needs. Every innovation has been done with the greatest of intentions. Greatest of intentions to solve a problem, not to create a side effect that impacts people on the planet. How many of you have heard negative things about pesticides? It often gets bad press. But between year 2000 and 2015, pesticides helped reduce the death rate from malaria by 60%. That's 6 million people in 15 years, mostly children, saved. So pesticides are an incredibly good solution for the problem they were intended to solve. And yes, like everything, they have a side effect. They have an impact on our food chain and human health with improper exposure. But those side effects are what we should be innovating on today while we look for a new disruptive solution. So in life, for every problem, we create a solution, which creates more problems. We create more solutions, and so on, until this incredible spider web of complex issues and great opportunity. And this is the future of meaningful work. And that brings me to our greatest aha. As humans, we figure it out. Baby boomers, me included, we created a hole in the ozone layer. We also figured out how to fix it. And today, it is the smallest it's been since 1988, and it will be completely healed in 25 years. So yes, humans innovate. We figure it out, we problem solve, but we only do it when it is extreme, when it's critical to our survival, or something we will not tolerate anymore. So millennials and Gen Z, you are the side effect of the generation and era you were born into. And you are exactly as you should be. Your refusal to work unless it has meaning, your laziness unless it is something you are passionate about or something you will not tolerate anymore, means that your survival instinct is in high gear. Your stress response of fight, flight, freeze, or figure it out is triggered. More of you are figuring it out. More of you than ever before are innovating. You are not the problem generation. You are the solution for the future era. Thank you.